Well, that's why, Tori. So I was going for
Come on, man. Aren't you educated?
I'm an idiot. I can't tell you how much of an idiot I am.
You don't have to.
Welcome to the Can Opener. I got two special guests. They were on here previously, not too long ago. I'm actually really excited about how much I get to see you guys. How strange is it?
I know, this is great.
It's a little strange.
I actually listened to the episode we did the other day.
Yeah?
Yeah. Not the whole thing. I mean, it's 2.5
Sure,
hours,
yeah.
but...
I listened to it at work.
Really?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting listening to yourself.
It's weird. What did you take away from that?
There's a lot of good things, actually. I think when you listen to yourself, you see words that you say that too often. Like. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely one of those. So, I've actually recently made an effort to stop saying like, and it's hard. It's really hard.
So hard.
And I think one of the issues with saying it is that when you say it, you're saying it to kind of fill blank space and buy yourself some time to think, but it comes across as like you're stupid, uneducated. When it's more powerful to just pause.
It's very true. And it's annoying. Kind of shows a lack of vocabulary, too, when you're just spewing like all the time. Mm-hmm. It's like use another, another adjective. Or like, it's such a...
It's so hard. It's actually impossible.
Such a painful habit. But then I go listen to Sam Harris's podcast, and I just like break down his sentences and how eloquently he can just dismiss his, or I guess expel his ideas from his mouth without using
quickly too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the or like, but it's also a conversation too, so it's kind of hard to be as manufactured.
Yeah, if you're not prepared, like even if because it's just like spontaneous conversation too. Like we don't plan anything. If you planned a topic to talk about, it would be different because you could think about it first and be like, oh yeah, and this is what I'm gonna say. But when it's just flowing out of your mouth the way that it comes into your head, it's harder.
Mm-hmm. And it is a filler word, and it kind of gives you that moment to think about what you were gonna say
without getting interrupted too.
Yes.
Because
Yeah, I was about
often,
to
like,
mention that.
if you pause, somebody's just gonna start talking.
Yeah, true.
And I think maybe that comes with age, just because younger people interject a lot more than older people, I think, in the general case. And maybe because we've been trained that if somebody's going to interject, you say like to make sure that air is filled.
Mm-hmm.
And you're waiting. You're on the cliff. It's like a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
True.
But,
do you think young people interject more?
well, I mean, definitely younger, like kids, you know? And I mean, at 20 years old...
listening. They're just fucking around.
Yeah, exactly, right?
There's nothing going on.
When you're talking to people who are talking just to hear themselves talk, not to like actually have a conversation too, I think that changes things because, I don't know, like, do you ever have a conversation with somebody and you can tell that they're not actually listening to you, they're not engaged at all, they're like thinking about something different while you're talking, and then they talk just for themselves?
It's that moment when you are already thinking about what you're going to say before you even hear the person's full opinion.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm guilty of that too, right? But
Oh, I think we all are. Too.
Yeah.
At certain times, but I agree that you can't have a conversation that way. That's the thing. You're just going to talk at each other. I feel like that's what my dad does. It's like, can you just like you're talking at me right now?
Yeah.
I need you to talk.
It's hard to talk to
with
people
me.
with people like that. You know, people who everything you say flies over their head, and they just want to fill up the conversation with that.
They find one thing that you say one thing, and they're like, perfect. That validates what I was about to say. Like that gives me the opportunity to say what I've been meaning to say this whole time. They're not actually listening to your whole thought. They just pick out the one piece that's like relevant to what they're talking about, and that's it. They're not engaged at all.
Yeah. Do you think it's like rare? Do you think it is like rare? I'm gonna be so.
I know. And
now you're aware of
the
it.
hard part is when you're aware of it. It's harder to think because you're trying to come up with words and form your sentences, but also be aware that you're not saying like.
It's good to practice it though. I think.
Is for sure.
What was I gonna say? What was I saying? Do you think that interactions between people are just people talking at each other, or is there civil conversation?
I think it depends the situation you're in. Like, I think that changes
It's a
things
heated
lot.
argument.
If
It's
you're,
definitely
if it's a heated
different
argument,
situation.
if you have like two very different beliefs, then I think that it gets lost. But also, if you're in a room full of people having conversations, that I don't think people are as engaged. If you're just sitting one-on-one with someone and you're like, I don't know, shooting the shit, usually they're listening to you more because there's nothing to distract them. I don't know.
True. It's just our lack of attention.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I'm really bad for that. Like, I'll be talking to somebody and I'll hear one thing from a different conversation and completely tune out of this conversation and join that one, even though I'm not even part of the other one.
Yeah, literally. But you can't focus on two things either.
No,
right?
we can't multitask.
Yeah.
Not at all.
It goes into something I was going to ask you guys about. That's why I think meditation kind of helps, because it helps you keep your focus, because rarely do we ever just stop and make sure we don't think and we just focus on what our body is doing right then and there. And
It's tough, though. Meditation's very tough.
bruh, it takes you months. It takes you months to get there. It takes you months.
Yeah, I can see that. I've tried it before.
Have you?
Yeah, and you try to think about nothing. You start easy with just thinking about numbers or like counting how long you've been meditating for, and then eventually some thought pops in your head and you instantly get off track, right? But to think about nothing, extremely hard.
But what Joe, I think it was Joe Rogan put one time. He's like, I guess that's an appropriate place to put like. It's gonna be a reoccurring theme. He said that every time, like you were saying, every time you're thinking about your numbers or you're thinking about your breathing, and then you go off track and think about another thought. Every time you come back on track, that's like doing a curl for your brain. Curl for your attention. Every time you just realize that thought, because you're gonna go. It's impossible to not be there. But the more you practice meditating, the better you'll be at being aware of what you're thinking and then coming back to it.
Yeah, I don't find meditation that hard.
I find it really, really hard.
You have to know that
really hard.
But
meditating isn't just like sitting. You really have to think about
no,
nothing,
clearing
right?
your head. Yeah, like it's not. I never found it that hard. I like get to a point where like I'm just seeing shapes. Like there's no thoughts in my brain, and it's like it's freaky when that starts to happen. Like you like want to snap out of
Do you
it.
do it every day?
No, like I haven't meditated in a long time. But I think part of the reason why it's not so hard for me is that I used to have a lot of trouble going to sleep at night. So I would focus on like circle breathing or whatever, like where you hold like breathe in for 6 seconds and hold it and then breathe out kind of thing. And like because I used to just like my brain would go into like overdrive when I was trying to sleep, I couldn't sleep all through high school. So I got really good at turning my brain off, like stopping thoughts from happening.
Yeah, just being in a meditative state before you go to sleep.
Yeah, so I guess like technically that was practicing meditation, but I just didn't really realize that that's what it was.
Do you have trouble falling asleep?
If I drink coffee or if like, and if I only was up for like 8 hours, if I slept for like 10 hours the night before, or something stupid like that, it'll be hard.
Whoops. Yeah, I was thinking because most of the time I can fall asleep within 10 minutes, but when I really need to fall asleep and it's been a while, the one thing I think about, and I think it actually helps me, is I try to lucid dream. So I think about lucid dreaming because it's really fun. I don't know if you've lucid dreamed before.
I have.
Really?
It's trippy, dude.
It's awesome. It is trippy.
What? There's a couple ways that you can like bring it upon yourself. You sleep. Usually, you only lucid dream after you've had your night sleep, and then you go back to bed after. That's when you lucid dream.
Yeah. And when I come home from school or come home from class, university, I'd like take naps, and those were the best times to lucid dream.
You just be like,
because you're like awake, but you're more conscious. You don't need sleep.
So what is a lucid dream in your perspective?
It's knowing that you're in a dream and having full control.
Do you have any good examples of a lucid dream you've had?
One of the really interesting ones, it wasn't like I was in some cool place, but I fell asleep on the couch in my lounge at my school. So my class has a lounge specifically just for the students. And there's a couch in there, and you can sleep on it. It's loud in there, and there's like a lot of people, but it's whatever. So I fell asleep on there, and I remember sleeping and thinking about talking in my sleep and how I didn't want to talk in my sleep or say anything stupid because there were a bunch of people, and it was quiet, like people were studying, right?
You ended up doing it.
No, I don't know if I did. I never confirmed. I could have definitely, right? But I was thinking, okay, don't talk, like don't say anything stupid, which is really weird because am I awake?
What a weird thought.
Am I awake or am I asleep? Like I know I'm asleep, but
yeah, what a strange thought. Who thinks that before they're about to pass out? Like, I hope I don't talk when I'm sleeping right now.
No, it wasn't when I passed out. It was just once I was asleep and in.
Oh, true.
Because
so
once I knew I was sleeping, and then had a lucid dream, I remembered I was on the couch.
Yo, that's like an Inception lucid dream, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's like.
I knew like where my physical body was, and I was in my head. It was crazy.
And you didn't realize that you were in your head, but you.
No, I knew completely. I was in my dream.
True.
But I knew that I was on the couch. Like I knew my physical body was.
You were
on
like
the couch.
conscious while dreaming.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah.
Well, that's what lucid dreaming is.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Exactly. I've never had actually cool lucid dreams. Like I've realized I was dreaming a lot of times by like using like tricks, like if you have not the right amount of fingers on your hand, or like if you try and look in a mirror in your dream and it's not your reflection, you're dreaming. Oh, and like if you look at a watch or a clock that won't actually show time, like it doesn't make sense.
But how do you get conscious enough to like go
Look at
for
your
that
hand.
stuff?
I think I realize that I'm dreaming, and I'm like, oh, I might be dreaming, and then that's when I go and check for those things. But it doesn't happen to me often. It's usually like in the morning.
Wouldn't that mean that you're already in a lucid dream
Yeah,
if you
you
can
would have to,
control the
if you
dream?
if you can like control it to look at your hand, then you're
But then you're
lucid
confirmed
dreaming.
lucid dream.
Well,
because-
does that mean that every dream could possibly be turned into a lucid dream?
Yeah, there's
in the
ways to
middle?
practice.
Yeah, so, well,
one of the
that's-
ways is keeping something on your body, like an elastic band. And when you're awake through the day, like you just look at your elastic band and slap it. And then doing that frequently, it will come up in your dream. And then you can look at your wrist. And if your elastic band's not there, then you know that you're in the lucid dream. Another way to do it is keep a sleep journal. So right when you wake up, like write down exactly what you dreamt about. And that way you can differentiate between the dream and reality.
The dream reality and the conscious reality. Mm-hmm. Whoa, that's trippy. I wonder if that could like be. I don't know. I've had a couple lucid dreams, but they haven't really been quote unquote psychedelic for me. But I wonder if they could be.
Well, that's what I was about to say. So Zoe has like crazy fucked up dreams. So like my best friend,
Yeah.
she has lucid dreams frequently, and
Why?
she'll just
Does she like induce them?
No, it just happens by accident. She didn't even know that that's what lucid dreaming was. One time we were talking about lucid dreams. I was like, oh yeah, I really want to try doing it. Like you can just control your dream. You can fly around and shit. She's like, I do that all the time. Like she had no idea it was a thing that other people couldn't do in their sleep.
Oh, that's
so
weird.
she can she'll just all of a sudden realize she's dreaming and just be like, oh cool, and just fly. Like her
I've
body
done
will
that.
just fly.
I just like fly through a city and you know completely that you're dreaming and you just do whatever you want.
But she also has like sleep paralysis, which
That's
is really fucked
scary,
up.
man.
Yeah.
One time, I was at my last house. I was just at 4 Whitehill Avenue. Go egg it.
Anyone listening?
No, we're doing
right now?
tonight.
My ex-girlfriend was sleeping upstairs, and she like screamed at the top of her lungs. But me and my roommate had no idea it was her, and we thought we were like tripping out. We looked at each other. We were like, "Did you just hear that?" And we were like, "What the fuck was that?" Some like blood chilling scream came from the attic, and we were like freaking out all night. We were just sitting there like with blankets over us. It's like being huge pussies.
Wouldn't even go check on his girlfriend.
Dude, I had no idea. No, but she was already my ex at that time. So
okay.
it was
So you're like, oh, that'd be weird if I barged in.
I wasn't. I thought it was a fucking ghost, dude. I was like, what ghost just screamed?
Did you think you were dreaming at that point? Like maybe you heard that in a dream, or did you know you were awake?
Well, I didn't. I wasn't sure if I even heard it, but then me and my roommate both heard it. And we were like, no. It sounded like a noise that can be easily recreated in your brain. You know, that you can trick yourself into thinking you heard. But she was having a sleep paralysis attack. That's why she screamed, and she said she woke up in the morning and she felt like something was like closing in on her chest and she couldn't move.
Yeah, like Zoe. So the first time it happened to her, she was at our friend Claire's house, and she was just having a sleepover, whatever. Claire lived in this massive bedroom that her parents were turning into like an apartment to rent out to people once the kids moved out. So she was in that room. There was like 3 beds, and it was a huge ass room. And Zoe just woke up and saw like she couldn't move, and she was like, "Oh no, like maybe I'm still dreaming." And these 2 just like black figures came in and like stood at the bottom of her bed and were just like ominously staring at her. And she just knew that like if she didn't wake up, that they were gonna like take her somewhere that she couldn't come back from, like fucked up. And so she eventually,
That's crazy. So
she
was
eventually
she
like
conscious?
woke up. She was awake, but her brain was still asleep. Like her body and her brain were still technically asleep. So
that's so weird.
But she could blink and like look around the room, but she couldn't move her body because it was still asleep.
Why does that happen?
I don't know. Like
Does anybody know?
I think they're trying to do research on it, but it's like the same as like sleepwalkers, right? Like they don't know well enough like what happens when you're dreaming to like.
Yeah, no, even that they have no idea what happens.
How do you study that if it doesn't happen every night? You know.
Exactly. Well, there are people who have like chronic sleep paralysis, like it happens to them like every night. Yeah. So I mean, in those cases, you could study it a little bit better, but it's still because it's all happening in your head
within the circuit of the brain as it's still alive. It's hard to.
So I guess like I wonder if they do like MRIs or something like to try and figure out what's happening like brain activity wise, but we don't know enough about the brain to like map it.
Do you think in our lifetime we'll be able to record something like your dreams or be able to induce dreams of certain kinds? Because maybe I don't know, I'm just coming up with this now, but maybe at some point in the future video games just become you in a sleep state where your brain is just maybe induced into like a certain map, and then you have like objectives, and you know it's a video game, but it's all in your head.
That's like some Black Mirror shit.
It's like some Black Mirror shit.
I can see it. That'd be sweet.
That'd be sweet.
I can see. I don't know if they'll be able to totally recreate your personal visual interpretation of your dream.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Because perception is like
that's the thing. It's how are they going to be able to translate what happens in your neurocircuits to this visual? I guess I know who knows if it's visual or not, right? Like, who knows where it lives?
Right, but I mean, right now, basically, we're doing the same thing, just not in your head. Like we're creating these video games that you look at a TV.
I was gonna say
right. So we are kind of inducing an experience that's outside, that's in like a virtual area, right? And maybe it's possible to.
I wonder if it would be ethical
not yet,
because I think that the like most prominent theory right now on dreams is that it's your way of like your brain's way of dealing with things that happen during the day, right? So like whatever stresses you out during the day, it's like a coping mechanism. So you like dream about it, and then your brain like deals with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had extremely stressful dreams.
Me too.
Where you wake up and
but maybe that's like a release of pressure, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They just stress you right out, and then you wake up and you're like, oh,
it was just
bad.
a dream.
Well,
exactly.
If you had a stressful day, it's not going to be an easy pop of the tap. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you shake
like,
up a can of Coke,
right?
Like it's gonna explode.
Think about the dreams you have where you're in a classroom naked. That is like one of the most stressful. Have you ever had that?
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah,
very vividly.
Exactly, and that is probably one of the most stressful dreams you can have, because here you are in front of all of your peers. Your schlong is hanging out.
But first you don't realize.
Yeah.
You're there, and then you look down, and you're like, oh, I'm here.
This is a bad situation.
That has never happened to me. I've never had a naked dream.
Oh,
No.
That's hilarious.
I don't think I'm really that scared of being naked in front of people, though. Like, even when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I don't think
was.
really.
I was 7, grade 5, grade 4.
You're just like
Prepubescent times.
I probably had one in the last like couple of years at least, maybe 1 or 2. I mean, who knows? I don't remember all
You
my
just like
dreams,
forgot to wear pants.
They just disappeared. I have no idea.
Just look down, they weren't there.
Yeah.
Look at them, they ran away.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's a stressful ass dream.
That
You
is
wake
a
up.
stressful ass dream.
You wake up and the biggest relief, Or you
Yeah,
have an
it's
exam.
relief.
You have an exam. Even that's the worst when you're naked and you have an exam and you're like, I have to go, and you didn't, and you're like not prepared at all. You didn't study.
You're naked, you have an exam, and you're on fire. You're just stressing the fuck out. You wake up, you're sweating.
But yeah, I've woken up sweating from stress dreams.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have too.
I had a dream, like, it was because of the heat too, but I woke up in like a pool of sweat. Like I thought I pissed the bed.
Yeah.
I straight up thought I pissed the bed. That's how much
I'm a
liquid
grown man. I should not be doing this.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, do I need to go to the doctor? Like, what's happening? It was a stressful dream. I forget what the dream was, but it was disgusting. But like you said, you were saying that you didn't want to talk in your sleep. That happens.
Yeah.
I talk in my sleep a lot.
you?
Yeah, like a lot.
Yeah. It's funny. We were on the phone the other night, and she was like falling asleep, and I wanted to wake her up to make sure she set her alarm.
Yeah.
So I like woke her up, and she started saying some random shit. And I'm like, okay, now I know you're asleep. How do I fuck with you and like make you say some weird shit?
That's the scariest thing for me. Like I have no idea that I'm doing it. Like
Someone's just gonna like,
occasionally I've woken up while talking in my sleep, and I'm like, oh no, like
you wake yourself up.
Yeah.
Because you're mumbling.
yeah,
It's so funny.
it's really gross. I don't know. It freaks me out a lot. There's like another Tori that lives while I'm not conscious. Like I can just have, and I carry on conversations. Like you can ask me a question and I'll answer it somewhat like intelligibly. Is that a word?
So do you think you're fully unconscious, or you think you're?
I have no idea that it happens. Like I'll wake up in the morning and I won't remember that I sleep talked or anything. Like
True.
Quick pause.
Hello? What's up?
Quick interruption. His mom, she's telling me he didn't do his laundry this morning.
It's all good, man. Yeah, appreciate it. All right, see you soon. Peace. Just business. Just business.
Business as usual.
I'd like to. I want to get back to the meditation thing, but shout out to our sponsors. Who sponsors the Can Opener? Pop-Up Podcasting, the most prestigious podcast studio downtown Ottawa, Albert Street. Come get your professional audio recording and editing done for your next business adventure. Wow. Business venture.
Have you ever?
That was a freestyle, dude.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Have you ever tried to get sponsors for your podcast?
No.
No?
do you like particularly not want sponsors, or you just, if it happens, it happens?
I don't. There's no room for sponsors right now. Like, who am I going to sponsor? Like
anyone who wants to. The local businesses.
Yeah, but anyone that would be a worthwhile to have as a sponsor is not available right now at this point in time.
What do you
Like
mean?
I could, because I can't like reach out to like fucking Fleshlight and be like, yo, sponsor the Can Opener. And because it's like, no, because there needs to be numbers.
Right.
And there needs to be, so I'm not, and I don't want to just reach out. There's plenty of sponsors I can get that would be like, but they're fishy. You know what I mean? I'd rather
Porn
not.
sites. This is sponsored by Pornhub. Shout out to Pornhub. Free sponsor. Please sponsor this podcast.
Yeah, but that would be the thing, and I think that's damaging of a brand if you just want to. And I don't know.
Hey, Joe Rogan sponsors Fleshlight, and
he did.
he's doing
back in the
okay.
day. That was his first thing, but it's not worth it at this point.
Yeah, you don't want to like just have a random.
And it's for fun, man. I want to do it for fun. I don't want to have it like there's got to be no guidelines. I don't want anyone
dictating what you can and can't say.
This I want it to be 100% mine until it's at that point. Yeah. I've been thinking about it a lot though.
Yeah, you're marketed, or what's your?
It's so much work.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my
really
goodness!
Is.
I need to.
Just hop on Reddit and toss it in there.
I know. I made a Reddit account, and I think that's a great idea because a lot of people. I want to do other stuff, but it is honestly so much work because I want to make like these little like 15. I'll take like a hot clip out of like a hot take out of this podcast, and then make a 15-second Instagram clip, and then put it on like ads or whatever. Spend $100 on ads, and then see what happens. But I also need to like, as I get more comfortable doing it, I need to have different guests. I need to have guests that will bring in people to listen, to want to listen to that conversation, whether that's 5 people, whether that's
and like diverse
10 people.
You just need to diversify, right? Like
exactly, and there needs to be a story with, and that's what
it's kind of like brand discovery and what you want to make your brand into and who you want to have on the show, right? Have you,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even just reaching out to people, like, I don't know, anyone.
Yeah, I'm really gonna start picking it up because I feel more comfortable than ever doing it, right? Like, and I feel like it itself hasn't come a long way, but just the progress that it's taken, and I feel
as a host, you've definitely gotten better.
I feel I have the ability to have those conversations with those people now instead of having to feel like I owe them something for doing me a favor. You know what I mean? And that's like an uncomfortable situation, and I don't need to be in that situation. It's good to be uncomfortable and push yourself outside of what you've been doing because that's the only way you're going to grow. But you want to make sure they're small steps.
Yeah.
So we're seeing. I'm having fun though. Yeah. That's all that matters.
It's true.
Yeah, like that's all that matters. I really don't give a fuck. It'd be cool to make $75,000 a podcast.
Get,
like
Joe on
does.
here.
you know who I saw at the grocery store the other day? Jagmeet Singh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's like, is that him? It's like, I don't want to be that racist white guy who just goes up to the fucking Indian guy. It's like, are you Jagmeet? Like, no, that's the 4th time today. Like, back up.
You don't recognize him that well.
No, I was 100% sure, but I was pussied out. I was like, man, I should have shook his hand. Apparently, he goes in there all the time, though.
I feel like that happens often. Like, you get kind of like starstruck for a second. You're like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then you just don't. And then you're like, fuck, I should have just said something.
Yeah, but who is he?
Well, I know.
Who is he?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, me, Jagmeet.
Yeah.
It seems like a good
I was
guy.
talking to my boss the other day, and we were talking about, actually not my boss, the CEO of the company I'm working for.
Yeah.
And he was an ex-OHL player. And he said he's very easy to talk to, and he's very CEO-like, where he can go talk to anybody. He says he's never uncomfortable in any situation, no matter who it is. So even if it's some multi-millionaire like investor, he says he's just himself. And he says part of the reason why he got there is by doing things that are courageous. So one of the things he did was, or one of the things he says got him to where he is when he was playing in OHL, when he was playing in Quebec, he would fight people in front of 13,000 people. And he said that's one of the most courageous things you do, because here you are putting yourself on the line, you're dropping the gloves, and you're ready to beat the crap out of somebody in front of 13,000 people, and like you could lose, and how that makes you feel if you lose, you know?
Yeah, and you have that chance to get the shit beaten out of you.
Yeah.
But physically and emotionally.
Yeah. Because here people are staring at you while your ass is on the ice,
and
you know?
It's a good point, is being courageous, and it is those moments. I was listening to this podcast, Tim Ferriss. You listen to Tim Ferriss?
No.
Super interesting guy. He wrote a really popular book, The 4-Hour Workweek. And he does a really good podcast. He has like some crazy guests on there. Who's the Virgin airplane guy? Russ.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Russell. No.
No, it's not Russell. I just got that stuck.
Brand. No.
Who's the Virgin Mobile? Oh man, that's so bad.
Just because you said it.
No idea.
Okay, yeah,
Richard
Richard Branson. There you go. Yeah, but he has huge people on like that. And there was this lady talking, and she says that she thinks confidence is overrated. Confidence in general is overrated. And she said courage is the real X factor. I was like, you can
easily confuse those, right?
It's an interesting point. You can easily confuse them, but they're two very different things. Courage is you can be a courageous person, but courage is more of a moment thing. Confidence is a general kind of less, it's more linear.
Right.
And you can't have confidence without having that courage first. No matter what, that confidence is going to come.
Yeah.
From taking those, and that made me look at it very differently. Because you always hear confidence. Like, confidence be confident. But how do you get confident?
And, like, there's a difference between being confident in your circle and being confident in any situation. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can be confident in different groups of people. Like, if you go up to meet somebody who's, like, I don't know, somebody who you think is really important, and you're just like, like, you can't even talk, and you just get really, like, red-faced and shit, like, you might be the most confident person around your peers, but that's just because you're comfortable around them.
That's true. Yeah, I guess. And that would be being courageous to test your confidence.
Yeah.
And you need to eat shit. I think you just need to eat shit. Like, there needs to be, I was talking to my buddy about just looking forward to failure.
Yeah, I agree.
Such an important...
Because you don't learn how to fail, you know.
You don't learn how to fail, and if you don't fail, you learn nothing.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
When you do fail, it's terrible.
Everybody wants to be the best, right? But you're never going to get there if you don't fuck up.
Yeah, it's really humbling when you like go home after like doing something really embarrassing and you're just like, I fucked up so bad.
No, you literally look in the mirror like, how embarrassing.
And you just want to die for a bit, and then
Yeah.
you get over it, and you're like, okay, now I know I can face that situation again and not do the stupid shit that I did.
Yeah. But it's important to have that moment of reflection after, too, because if you don't have that moment of reflection and you just keep...
Keep fucking up
Yeah,
every
keep
time.
doing the same old... It's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just keep
Doing the same thing and not
expecting a
that
different
doesn't
result.
work and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Because my buddy wants to... He's a young kid, actually. But he wants to go into business, and he's, like, scared of failure. He's scared of the answer, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you can't be scared of the answer because that, as soon as you procrastinate, it's going to just keep growing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As soon as you don't ask that answer, no matter what the answer was, it's still going to be there.
I don't follow really.
Sure.
I don't understand what you're saying. What do you mean?
Like, he's scared of a rejection.
Right.
Right.
And
So he's scared to put himself out there, but the rejection would
Exactly.
exist either
What's
way.
the rejection in
The
school?
rejection-
Like getting into school or what?
just in
He wants
life,
to go into
I
business,
think.
just
I think it
in
was
life?
just a general statement. So he fears the rejection, and it might not even be rejection, right? Who knows if it's rejection or not? He has the anxiety that it is rejection, and even if it was rejection, you have to understand that you'll take away from that rejection at the end, and it's not all. I don't know. The one thing that I wish I was stressed about in my life was that it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
think about all these moments in your past, and you're like, holy fuck, it's all over.
Yeah, you were just like, I'm never going to see another bright day again.
No,
like, this is the end.
This is the climax. We're going down from here. And it's like that. I wish that was stressed to me more, because if that was stressed, you wouldn't take failure so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
You could look at them with more of an objective perspective, because when you get emotional and you're like, holy fuck, this is the end, then you never want to get back up and go retry it.
To build the thick skin.
You have to build the thick skin, but there's a certain point where things can be totally demoralizing. You know, you're not going to get up from every single instance, right? You're going to need some help.
Yeah, I think one of the in Waterloo, every term I apply to jobs, right? And I think that's one of the things that kind of helps build this acceptance to failure is like when you interview for a job and you get rejected, you know, or rejected for multiple jobs, right? And being able to kind of bounce back and be like, okay, it didn't work. You know, what did I do wrong? How do I go back the second time and make sure I do? Right?
And you have to keep doing them.
Yeah, and I feel like people don't get that opportunity, you know, to be able to feel rejection or
Because
feel failure. or,
because
like,
they're scared of
because
the
they're scared to
answer.
even no, but they're scared. Yeah, they're scared to even get there,
Yeah.
right? And
They're scared of what might happen.
They've answered it for themselves already by just not doing it.
yeah,
Living a predetermined life. You know, but how do you get out of that? How do you switch that lane of thinking? Do you just got to do it?
I don't really know, because it's like, I think once it happens for yourself, it's hard when you're trying to tell somebody who's in a place where they can't, they're just like, no, like, I don't want to fail. It's hard to tell someone like, oh, but you need to fail to get to the next spot, because they're just like, they're so set in their, like, in their own mind. So I don't really know. How do you inspire somebody to think the way that you
yeah.
do?
And I think a lot of my friends, it's hard to say like you need to even just take that first step, or else just because you think that first step might be the wrong one, you have to take the first step just to know that you took the first step so you can take the second step, right? Prime example is like Carter was going to go to school and then he decided not to because he's
Shout out Car Farrell.
great guy. But now he's worried that, you know, school won't get him anywhere, and he just hears about all these dropouts, and he knows that like that might be him, or even his music scene. You know, he thinks that, you know, he's not good enough and that he won't make it. But, you know, if you don't try, if you don't reach out and take that step and talk to the right people, it's hard to even go anywhere, right?
I think it's easier to fall asleep at the end of the night knowing, okay, I didn't make it, but at least I tried, rather than being like, oh, I'm never going to make it, so I'm never going to try.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just being like, knowing that you tried and then going and being like, okay, maybe I need to reevaluate my goals.
Yeah. And that's another thing, reevaluate your goals and be willing to reevaluate your goals. Because
And just even have goals.
Sorry?
People don't even set goals, you know?
Yeah, you're right. How important do you think that is?
It's most important.
Do you set goals?
Of course.
What? Long term, short term?
Long term, I want to start a company.
Yeah.
Short term, I want to, you know, succeed with like friendship, relationships.
That's a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Family.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's an
You know, whatever I'm
important
working
one.
on, like school, work, you know, be the best I can be at work.
Yeah.
Things like that, you know, just trying to be the best at.
Do you make them very specific?
I sometimes it depends on like the time of year.
Do you write them down?
Yeah. So not recently, but back when I was in like last semester, I'd write them down.
See, I think writing something down there's a different.
Interesting you say that.
Something's different about that.
There's a book I read. It's How to Be a Straight A Student, and it's not just about. I think the takeaways you can get from it aren't just about school related.
Yeah.
So this guy, Cal Newport, I don't know if you've heard a book called Deep Work.
No.
He talks about, anyway, this book Deep Work talks about how if you just sit in a room and work on something, that you come up with the greatest things. Like if you think about Einstein, like he sat by himself in a room writing
Just
out
pondered.
just pondering and having no distractions. And that's something today it's really hard to get, right? No distractions. But what I was getting at is Cal Newport wrote this book called How to Be a Straight A Student. And one of the things he said was write down every morning what you're going to accomplish that day. So you have a pen and paper. And I actually did this last term. So I'd write down, okay, I need to get this done. I need to get that done. And you'd have two columns. You'd have the column like a schedule, and then you'd have another column that says things like throughout the day, things come up. And then you have to like put that in your calendar. And then when that day comes up, you know, you write down how you're going to achieve that next, like what time you're going to achieve that. I think that's important. Like making sure planning exactly how you're going
to. Do you write down times?
Yeah. So I'll write down like 4:30 till 6:30. I'm going to study this. You know?
See, I think that is so important because I sometimes do the morning journal. I really try to. I don't really do like a to-do list, but like a gratitude journal in the morning. Just try to put some down. To just put 3 pages, just to write. I was doing it pretty good like a month ago, but that kind of fell off.
It's hard to form the habit.
It's hard, man, and it's like it's interesting, and I feel great when I do it. You know what I mean? And there's like you can definitely tell the days apart. But just getting yourself about the to-do list is getting yourself like on that timeline. I go to the gym, and when I go to the gym, I put myself on the timeline. Even if I don't have anything to do that day, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym for 9:30, get out of there at 10:45, have lunch at blah blah blah, and it puts me on that timeline. And